Christmas. It's the most wonderful time of the year, according to Andy Williams. I, however, despise Christmas, a once respected tradition, conquered by materialism. People liken me to the Grinch. However, if the Grinch's heart was 2 sizes too small, mine was 3. This was Mia's first Christmas without her mom. We lost Renee 5 months ago to cancer, and it has been difficult ever since. I try my best to mask the grief and support Mia, but I see the hurt she is trying to conceal. Her glistening eyes fighting back tears are windows to a broken soul. Mia has become a shell of her former self, carrying pain much more than a 7th grader should have to bear. I was determined to put my resentment towards the holidays aside, just so my daughter can truly feel happiness again. On the night of Christmas Eve, after tucking Mia into bed, I brought in the 5-foot Christmas tree I purchased while Mia was away at her grandma's. Mia loves spending the days during the holidays at her grandma's. I believe she prefers being there more now that her mom has passed, away from home, and away from the memories. I rearranged the furniture in the living room, isolating the perfect spot for my Christmas presentation. I began at the base, stringing cool white fairy lights, and worked my way to the top. I wrapped the tree with red and silver tinsels, strategically placing bells and other holiday ornaments off the branches. I then finished the decorations with a glimmering gold star tree topper. I took a step back to observe my creation. It looked magical. However, I knew I wasn't close to being done. I spent the rest of the night wrapping Mia's presents. I bought Mia new clothes, a pair of the latest Nike trainers, a cute Pandora bracelet, AirPods, and a box of the most recent Pokemon cards. Take a second to guess which was the most expensive gift? I can wait. Those damn Pokemon cards, over $150 for shiny cardboard. What has the world come to? I must have slept at most for a couple of hours before I was woken up by my alarm. I set it to 7 a.m. and I was shattered, deprived of sleep but eager to get the day going. I walked over to the kitchen to brew a coffee, yelling, "Mia, it's Christmas. Santa has left you presents," as I passed the stairs. Mia must have already been awake because seconds later I could hear her running down the stairs in excitement. I took my beverage into the living room where Mia was sat beside the tree ripping into her presents. She was too occupied to notice that I entered. As I took a seat on the floor next to her, Mia turned to look at me with a huge grin on her face. She hugged me tight and whispered, "Dad, this is the best day ever." As soon as those words left Mia's mouth, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. It was beautiful. I told Mia that she could rip into her Pokemon packs while I whipped up breakfast, and so she followed me to the kitchen, clutching onto her box of cards. I made us both reindeer-shaped pancakes, but I almost dropped the plate when Mia screamed with joy when she packed a Pikachu. As soon as we finished breakfast, I told Mia that she needed to go and get ready, because we were heading over to Grandma's for a few days. I was waiting in the car, drifting in and out of consciousness, when Mia knocked on the window. I asked Mia what was wrong, and with her puppy dog eyes, she asked if she could bring her presents to Grandma's. I physically couldn't say no, and told Mia that she needed to be quick because Grandma was expecting us. Mia made several trips bringing her presents from our home to the car, before she closed the trunk, and with that I drove off. I made it all the way to the bottom of the street before I realized that I left Mia outside. I felt terrible, and began panicking as I turned the car around and sped back up the street. I was going 50 on a 20 miles road, and as I was approaching home, I could see something. I couldn't quite make out who or what it was. I mean, I could barely keep my eyes opened, but as I got closer, my brain slowly started to register what was ahead. I was functioning purely off caffeine, and despite there being ample time to brake, I couldn't react to the sight of my own daughter. A sickening thud ensued. The sound of the impact was so horrific that it sent shockwaves throughout my body. I froze for a few seconds, unable to comprehend what had just occurred. The blackness from my eyes started to fade as I slowly regained my vision. The first thing I saw was Mia's lifeless body on the ground ahead. I opened the car door, slowly making my way towards Mia, hoping that at any moment I would wake up from this nightmare. However, as I towered over Mia's corpse, reality began to settle in. I had just killed my own daughter. Mia's skin had already lost its color, her peachy skin tone now a pale white. Her lips, no longer pink, looked as if the moisture had been stripped from them, and her eyes, fixed in size, remained open. Mia laid in an unnatural position, stiff and cold. I dropped to my knees and screamed, "Mia!" But there was no response. I placed my ear on her chest hoping to hear a heartbeat, but there was none. I became hysterical, screaming for help as my neighbor Barbara came rushing towards me. She told me to call the ambulance as she attended to Mia. I ran to my car to get my phone to make the call, and as I dialed 911, I turned to look at Mia. Mia was alive. A Christmas miracle. I dropped my phone and ran towards Mia. Mia looked as if she had just woken up from a nap, as she looked confused and asked why I was crying. I replied that it doesn't matter, you are okay now and that is all that matters. I carried Mia in my arms to the car, bewildered on how Mia survived. I thanked Barbara, and she simply smiled and told me to look after our children. I left the scene, making a stop at the hospital where doctors conducted some tests and assured me that Mia was okay. The doctors instructed me to take Mia home and requested that we both rest. And I did just that. However, instead of home, I took Mia to Mom's. Mia and I were welcomed in, and Mom immediately asked what was wrong with Mia. I replied that there was nothing wrong. I know, I lied, but I couldn't tell Mom the truth. Ever since Renee died, Mom has been pushing me to leave Mia with her. She doesn't think I can handle Mia alone, and to be frank, she isn't wrong. I knew if I told Mom the truth, she would take me to court for sole custody. She loves her granddaughter and would do anything to protect her, even if that meant protecting Mia from me. We spent the next few days celebrating Christmas. Christmas, as it should be celebrated, with family. It was amazing, but good things are not meant to last, and just like that I was back to a life of work and Mia, a life of school. Mia's first day at school was strange. It was normal until near the end of the day. I received a call from Mia's teacher requesting that I have a serious conversation with her when she gets home. This was because during lessons Mia was being rude, giving her teacher's attitude and answering them back. This was out of character for Mia because Mia had always respected her teachers. When I brought this up to Mia, she recalled it differently. She replied that the teacher asked her a question, and all she did was answer it. There was no malice behind it. I brushed it off, reminding Mia that while this may have been a misunderstanding, this cannot happen again, and she needs to be on her best behavior. A week later, I was called by the same teacher, but this time I was requested to urgently come to the school as there had been an incident. I hurried to the school and was guided to the principal's office where Mia and a visibly shaken boy sat. I asked the principal what happened, and he sternly told me to take a seat. The principal asked Mia to explain why they had brought me in, but Mia refused to answer. With Mia's reluctance to answer the question, I turned to the principal and demanded that he explained. He told me that during class Mia threatened and pushed this boy over. The boy fell over a chair and landed awkwardly, fracturing his ankle. While I couldn't and didn't want to believe what was said, the evidence was right there in front of me. I profusely apologized to the boy and the principal, as the principal told me that if this were to happen again, then there would be serious consequences. During dinner I told Mia that I was disappointed, and unless she explains what happened at school, she would be grounded for a month. Tears rolled down Mia's face as she explained why she did what she did. Mia and the boy were working on a science project together investigating frog behavior. As they were feeding the frog suddenly collapsed and died. The boy made a crude remark about Mia's mom, likening her to this frog. Mia acted on impulse and stood up for her mom. If I'm being honest, Mia did not do enough. The boy deserved more than a fractured ankle, but I couldn't tell Mia that. I didn't want to create a monster, and so I told Mia that while I understood her reaction, there were better ways to approach this. Mia listened, and I could tell she was being genuine, as she promised to handle things differently next time. A month had passed and Mia was on her best behavior, doing her best at school. One day a leaky roof at work meant that all employees had to leave the premises. With my newfound time, I figured I would surprise Mia at school and save her a bus ride home. I parked outside the school gate so as soon as Mia walked out she could see me. However, she didn't see me. Though, I did see her. I saw Mia approach the boy who made the comment about her mom, as she kicked his crutches to the side, causing him to fall to the ground. Mia then mounted on top of the boy and proceeded to ruthlessly attack him. She clawed, punched, and yanked the boy's hair as a crowd began to form. I got out the car and ran towards them, screaming at Mia to stop. Mia froze in the middle of her assault. I dragged Mia off the boy and took her to the car before I went back to check on the boy. The teachers and principal were now there, attending to the boy as they took him to the school nurse. The principal, however, stayed behind and told me that Mia is suspended, pending a formal investigation. Once we got home, Mia rushed to her room. I, still puzzled at what just occurred, took a minute to process what I had just witnessed. I called Mom and told her everything. She was furious and said that once things returned back to normal that she would look after Mia herself, as I wasn't a fit father. For now, we needed to provide Mia with stability. When Mom arrived, she invited Mia for dinner. Mom was Mia's best friend. If anyone could get through to her, it would be Mom. Mia was picking at her vegetables, refusing to eat, when Mom asked Mia to explain why she vehemently attacked the boy. Mia remained silent. Mom asked for a second time, but instead of answering the question, Mia ran straight to the window and began violently bashing her head against it. Mia was crying out, "Get out of my head! Get out of my head! Get out of my head! Get out of my head!" Mom ran over and pulled Mia away from the window as I looked on in horror. Mom sat Mia down and comforted her as Mia returned to her senses. I ran to get a bandage as a small cut had formed on Mia's forehead. After attending to her wounds, Mom spent the rest of the night by Mia's side. A few hours into the night, Mom came into my room livid. She blamed everything on me, and inside I agreed. She told me that she was bringing someone versed in the supernatural tomorrow to investigate Mia's behavior. Mom suspected that Mia was being troubled by a spirit, and is why she kept repeating, "Get out of my head." I thought the whole suggestion was insane, but I knew I didn't have legs to stand on. I couldn't explain what was going on with Mia, and I wasn't the right person to be making such decisions regarding Mia anymore. The next day, Mom came over with Father Abraham, the priest. The priest was supposedly her old acquaintance, and back in the day, they investigated the paranormal together. I thought I knew my mom inside and out, but it turns out I really didn't know the woman I called Mom. The three of us went up to Mia's room, and just the sight of the priest alone triggered Mia. She became restless in his presence. I told Mia that it was okay and the man was only here to help. The priest asked Mia several questions before he asked to speak to me and Mom downstairs. I was expecting reassurance that nothing was wrong, but instead the madman accused me of inviting a spirit into Mia. I, understandably perplexed, took a second before I asked if he was fucking crazy. "Why on earth would I invite a spirit into my own daughter?" the priest continued. He said that Mia should have died in that accident, but in that moment of vulnerability, someone invited something into Mia's body, practically resurrecting her. However, she wasn't resurrected. Alone. In that moment, I came to a chilling realization. I, for certain, didn't invite anything into Mia's body, but I couldn't say the same thing about Barbara. "Look after our children," I remembered her saying. Why did Barbara say that? The priest said that we needed to speak to Barbara and find out what she invoked before an exorcism could be carried out. We made our way to Barbara's house and knocked several times before Mom kicked the door down. Barbara was sat on the couch, expecting us. I ran to Barbara and screamed, "Explain what you have done!" Barbara just kept apologizing, saying that it was her only option. We learned that Barbara accidentally killed her own son Noah through neglect years ago. I didn't know Barbara had a son, never mind killed one. She left him in a bathtub, unattended, as she got wasted in her room. Ever since then, Barbara has been riddled with guilt, looking for any opportunity to bring him back. When she saw Mia's lifeless body on the road, Barbara sent an invitation to the spirit world, in an attempt to reach Noah, instructing him to take refuge alongside Mia. In her body, Mom yelled, "You fucking psycho!" and slapped Barbara. Barbara continued, "My son is such a sweet and innocent boy, he is there to protect Mia." "Protect?" I questioned. "Your son is causing Mia harm." Barbara requested to speak to Noah so she could talk sense into him. I accepted. Mom, however, wanted to rip her throat out. 10 minutes later, me, Mom, Barbara, and the priest were sat in Mia's room with Mia laid down on her bed. Mia was visibly uncomfortable with all of us being there. Barbara wasted no time and asked Mia if she could speak to Noah. Mia sniggered. Barbara continued to ask Mia to please let her talk to Noah, but Mia refused. Barbara became frustrated as she demanded to speak to Noah now. Mia snapped back, "Noah is not here, you crazy bitch! I am Abizu. I am the one who accepted your invitation." Barbara, in disbelief, replied, "No, it can't be." Abizu continued, "When you sent out the invitation, fool, you did not send it to Noah. You sent it to us all." Noah was too weak, pathetic, and couldn't make the crossover. I, on the other hand, was more than competent. "You have freed me, while Noah will continue to rot in hell." Barbara screamed, "How dare you!" Abizu had enough, and through Mia's body slapped Barbara so hard that her head turned back towards us. As she looked at us paralyzed in fear, she mouthed, "I'm sorry, but that's not my boy." The priest interjected and told us that he needed to perform the exorcism now that Abiz has surfaced. The priest began by asking Abizu to leave, but he was met with a firm no. The priest then threatened Abizu to leave, otherwise he would make it rain with holy water. But again, Abizu was unfazed, confident that for some reason we would be reluctant to carry out the process. The priest sprinkled holy water on Mia's body, and Abizu screamed in agony. The priest then recited some passages from the Bible which seemed to be Abizu's kryptonite. Abizu then yelled, "If you take me out, then Mia will cease to exist. We are latched together. If I die, then so will Mia." I instantly told the priest to stop, as he questioned what I was doing. I told him that I needed to put an end to this circus act. I was not going to let Mia die. I turned the lights off and kicked over Mia's drawer, which acted as a barrier between me and Mia, and on the other side, the priest, Barbara, and my mom. I picked Mia up from her bed and ran out the house, strapping her in the car. I could hear my mom screaming in the background, "You idiot! Come back! Haven't you done enough harm to Mia?" But I am not harming her, I am saving her. I tell this story as I am driving on the road with no destination in sight. I know, many of you will question why I did what I did. However, I could not let my daughter die. Not again. I know. I have created a monster. But it is not a monster that I see. My angel Mia is still in there, somewhere. And I will not rest until I set her free.